Just give us, what is leptin and what is it normally associated with when we talk about what it does?
Yeah, leptin is the master hormone of the human body, not of everybody else. It replaced in evolutionary history probably what melatonin used to do for us. Leptin controls your fat mass. It controls your thermodynamics. It controls appetite. Here's the big one. It controls fecundity and fertility. So when you now know that 50% of people below the age of 35 are infertile, now you're beginning to understand why that's the case. And what do you need to know about leptin? That it absorbs 220 nanometer light. So what does that tell you? That's light that is not in the sun, but it's in your sub-Q fat. And most people probably know that UV light doesn't penetrate really past the deepest layer of your epidermis. So then you got to ask the question, well, where the hell does that light come from? I think Nick and I have already answered that question for you definitively. If you want to learn about that, you read Roland Van Wyck's book, Light Sculpting Life. You'll learn everything you need to learn about biophotons that you didn't learn in biochemistry. And then you need to read Fritz Pop's work and put it together. But basically, what leptin does, it works specifically with the third semiconductor, which is melanin. And melanin comes from alpha MSH, which is cleaved from POMC. POMC is the single most important gene to the mammalian tree. The mammalian tree is 200 million years old. We really got to be specialists with melanin after the KT event. Why? I believe that's when neuropsin, the UVA detector that's present on your cornea and on your skin, which is important for Nick's story, is the link that links back to the absorption spectrum of something else Nick knows about, that Daniel Sabatini and Peter Attia don't. The absorption spectrum of mTOR is actually UV range. So guess what? Anybody who's got an mTOR problem, anybody who wants to live longer, you need to be in the sun longer. If you look at my pinned tweet, Nick, that's on my page, what does it say? There's been 6 meta-analysis shown that in mammals, specifically us, that longevity is a function of how much sun we get.
So Bryan Johnson is literally doing the opposite of what he should.
Which is why I make fun of him all the time on my Twitter feed.
He's avoiding sunlight completely.
To be honest with you, Nick, I'm hoping after you put this podcast out and the fact that you put your 2 cents in for your story and people know about Bryan Johnson's story, again, you remember what the dermatologist told you, stay out of the sun. And I'm telling you, go in the sun. I know why Bryan Johnson's being told what he's being told. He's spending $2 million a year to talk to people who are morons. And why are they morons? Because they all have a biochemical focus. They don't have the biophysics and the biochemistry together. So the people that Bryan hires, they have the belief that if you buy Prince's guitar, that somehow you can play guitar like Prince. Turns out you can't. And what I'm trying to teach you in this podcast, and hopefully your audience, is that I expect each and every one of you, especially if you're a PhD, to go back and fact check Uncle Jack. I am been waiting for 20 years for somebody to come tell me I'm wrong. When I sat down with Becker and told him this entire thing laid out, he just smiled. And he goes, man, I wish I would have met you in the 60s or 70s. Because all the biochemists that ended his career, that worked for the military and DARPA, this is a story they didn't want coming out. And you have to realize that humans, no matter who they are, we are specialists, my friend, in the leptin melanocortin pathway. We are like the guys on the football team that's all we want to do.